So how I went from being an architect to a realtor. Technically speaking, I was never really an architect because to be an architect, you got to be licensed. So I took a few exams, passed a few, and then at some point I just kind of gave up. But essentially, I studied architecture at USC. I came out, one of my very first jobs was at Cantor Architects. They were remarkable. And then I went on and went to Marmol Radziner. And then from there, Lorcan or Hurley He. And then from there, I did a little bit of time at Johnston Marklee. And so I was in the profession for about 10 years or so. I liked the construction part of it, doing construction administration, um, designing some of the details for homes and knowing the inner workings of how a home worked. So those were things that I really gravitated towards. But what I found was, for me at least, my personality is that I love to talk to people. And so I actually got written up once at one of the firms because I was going around talking to too many people. And, you work at these places, you work with incredible people. They're talented. Some of them have cabinet makers. Some of them, there's landscape architects there. And so I was just curious and I would go around and I'd speak to them and I'd ask them questions. And I remember being written up for that. They said, "Hey, just sit at your seat and get to work." Essentially, it's a profession where it takes a lot of hours. You're there probably from 9 a.m. to oftentimes 6, 8 p.m. I remember working till 10 p.m. when a set of drawings needed to be due. And so for me, it was like something was missing. And then when I went into real estate, which at the beginning was a hard sell for me. And then between my wife and friends, they were like, you should try doing it. And so at some point I went into real estate and it was like things changed. I felt like, wow, I get to talk to people and this is a part of my job and I get to go around and do all these cool things. And the first the first 5 years of being a realtor was great in that regard because I was learning the contracts. I was on a great team. And I was learning a lot about how to put a deal together essentially, and then how to work with people and how to set expectations. And that was really great. The problem with that was, or not necessarily the problem, but the missing piece there was that I felt like something was missing again. And so then I started to go out into the field and I would just say, okay, I'm just going to go and look at architecture now, architecture for sale, basically. And as soon as I started to do that and I started to post it and I started to share it, things kind of changed for me. I mean, I feel like it became a whole lot cohesive and I feel like I'm really lucky because I found two things that I gravitated towards, and doing one solely I felt like things were missing, but together it's kind of like you created this like cohesive unit where all of a sudden I feel like, man, I feel like the luckiest person in the world because I get to do real estate and I get to look at architecture, and I look at more architecture now and talk about architecture now more than I ever have in my entire life. And I feel just so incredibly grateful for that. And then the next step for me, hopefully, will be to develop architecture. I would like to, at some point, get enough experience, work with the right people, and get to the point where I'm developing architecture as well. And that would be basically the trifecta for me. And so if anyone is thinking about switching, my advice would be just keep gravitating towards the things that you really appreciate and you love. And that, even if it feels scary or unsafe, just do it. And you'll end up, hopefully, in the right locations. And so this is Mark. And let me know if you guys have any questions.